Hey, good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy, and this is the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show. We're going about 3 or 4 minutes a little bit early this morning, get this party started. Um, that way, we have a little bit of margin on the back end on this Monday morning. Everybody runs a tight ship. Um, and what are we here for? We cover game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And who is we? We is me and my Playboy's Bunny, who's always here on Thursday mornings live with me. And as our schedules open up, we're going to start trying to get her in here 2 days a week and then just get back to like where it's a regular show, the two of us. But if you're ever going to ask a question, either ask it this morning on YouTube through the comments section or on Thursday mornings because you get access to her and her girl brain, and she sees things quite differently than we can. And we can give you between her and I the best advice on your girl problems, your relationship challenges, where you're at, or even you're on your ground, what you're running up against. And we talk to so many people on a weekly basis that you know what is unique to you, and you're like, I don't know how to deal with this. You'd be surprised at how often we hear that um, in a week's time. The common questions are just that, quite common, because everybody tends to run up against the same 3, 4, 5 roadblocks at different moments in their progression from being kind of a beta to being able to manage women to the best of your ability. So we always begin with a maxim. Let me get this thing up. If you have any questions, again, go to YouTube, put it in the comment section. I'll do my absolute best to get it answered this morning. So maxim number 59. The longer you're away from seducing new women, the harder it will be to seduce the one when you want. Again, you have to practice this stuff. The more you practice, the better you will be, the more ready you will be for when the time comes that a better than average girl comes across your purview. So this is twofold. This falls under like where guys get a girlfriend and they forget about all their skills. They go, oh, I finally got a girlfriend. And this is a common mindset. I got a girlfriend. I don't have to do any of this stuff anymore. They stop talking to other girls. They stop running game on the girl that they have, and they lose their skills. Well, I don't say lose. Their skills diminish or kind of like go to sleep for a while. It's kind of like if you learn a sport or you know how to ride a bike, it'll kind of go away if you don't do it on a regular basis, but you can pick it up more quickly. So don't ever think that the things you learn in game will still be there. They'll be dormant and they'll be kind of like running under the surface, but it takes a little bit of time and it takes focused effort to bring them back up. So the number one time that this happens is when guys get focused in on their girlfriend and they stop talking to other girls. They stop being personable. They really, pick up the role of like boyfriend, or they pick up the role of husband or father, and they forget about all of their skills that they took years to develop. When needed, I mean, that's why you should tend to try to always say hi to every attractive girl you see. Be charming. There's no downside. There's of course lines you don't want to cross with family friends or with the wives of your friends or anything like that. There's always certain things that you need to be a line drawn that you don't cross. But generally, you need to keep your skills sharp as you can and game your girlfriend or wife, because that keeps your skills sharp. It's easier to transfer over should you need it. And the second thing is sometimes guys literally just they're either work or they're traveling or they're on the move. Something their mission, for lack of a better word, takes over, and they forget about chasing women or women chasing them for a while. So their skills again diminish or they're not used. But game is like any other skill, it has to be practiced frequently to keep it fresh. And the best way to do that is to always be personable, always talk to people, always have a little bit of extroversion, even if you have to force it, because it will keep you engaged. And then it won't be as hard to restart should you need it. I mean, even like with people go, I have no intent of ever breaking up with my girlfriend. She breaks up with him. Something happens. She has like a disease problem. She passed away. I mean, anything is possible that you may end up needing your skills again. And there's never a downside to being charming, even for the women in your life. It always benefits you and it benefits them. But the longer you're away from seducing new women or practicing even on a low level, the harder it will be to seduce one when you want. And again, that's where guys go, I really want to I mostly date 6s, but I want to marry an 8. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is always be very consistent with the 6s because there's more of them. And that way, when the 8 does come along, their skills are sharp. And quite often they'll start talking to the 8 and then they don't really realize she's an 8 until they've been engaged, because you're so used to talking to everyone. You're so used to saying hi to every attractive girl you see. And then when you get engaged in, some back and forth, you realize, this is an 8 as opposed to the regular 6s that you normally see. Again, guys always want to climb up the food ladder sometimes, not always, but some. And the only way to do that is be very good at your level. And that way, when kind of the call comes up, you're ready and your skills are sharp. And it'll really be an easy transition. That's what I found with most men, is they tend to shift gears pretty quick when they've got a girl that's really high value in front of them. One of the questions, Bouncer has a good question here. And I think let me close out. Maxim number 59 says, the longer you're away from seducing new women, the harder it will be to seduce one when you want. So that is factual. You have to keep your skills sharp. Balancer asks, hey, Fort Worth, how do you find so many new women on a regular basis? And this is what I want to convey. And this is one of those things. And there's 2 schools of thought here. But number one is when you focus in and you say, okay, I'm going to say hi to every attractive girl I see, you start seeing more attractive women. You start seeing more girls you can open up. You start seeing more girls you can speak to. You start seeing more attractive girls because you kind of set your brain to see it. And the only real, there's reticular activating cortex, the RAC, that's within the brain. And you can look it up, you can Google it. It's basically a mechanism within your brain that once you kind of focus in on a specific object, be it a white Toyota 4Runner, you say, you know what? I think I want to buy a Toyota 4Runner. You will very quickly start seeing white Toyota 4Runners everywhere you go, all the time. Your buddy will have one. One will pass you in the parking lot. You'll see 2 of them driving side by side down the highway. Your brain clues in to the things that you want to see, to pay attention to, and you'll see more of them. And the same thing goes with attractive women. Unless you're just in a horrible, there's certain environments, like you're in basic training. There's not going to be too many attractive women in the area. And even the average ones will start looking attractive. But let's say your environment is equal. You start deciding to see a certain thing, more attractive women. I want to talk to more girls. You're going to see more. And the second thing is, and it's something that I always talk about, best jobs for players, or best jobs to meet attractive women, or best jobs to meet women. Sometimes if you're in a horrible environment, let's say, you work in a warehouse that's not air conditioned, it's just you and the 65-year-old wife of the owner of the warehouse, and you're the warehouse guy, and it's her, and she works the phones and you work the warehouse. It's going to be a tough environment. So I always suggest guys to get yourself into an environment or work in an environment. That's why we always say bartender, work in the door, working anything that works with nightlife. I don't suggest like valet parking because you're kind of like in and out, you're running back and forth. I'm sure there is, but you don't have as much freedom of movement or security. Anything that works with bar, any food and drink service, you'll tend to be around more attractive with more women. And like with the food and drink service, you don't end up like sleeping with the guests. You end up sleeping with your coworkers. It's just one of those like really charged atmospheres where everybody kind of ends up hooking up together. But you're also around a lot of the public, so you get better with your skills. Again, bartender is always the best one that I say because you get rewarded for being charismatic. There's no downside. You're around alcohol, which is sex fuel. There's so many positives in this one environment. And you don't have to stay there forever. You spend like a year or two doing this, and you're going to have skills that last you forever. But again, getting yourself in the right environment and then practicing your skills, there's no downside. It's kind of like Bunny and I, we're in the gym business. So when we're in the gym, and you always think of yourself as like the mayor of the gym, you have to be personable. Every person that comes in, someone says hi to them. Every time you see a customer or client or member, hey, how are you doing today? And then every time they leave, you have a great day. Thanks for coming in. This shit goes a long way to making them feel welcome. And even if they're having a shitty day, it helps reinforce they're in the right place and they came to the right place to invest their time and their money. So your environment matters. And if you kind of think of yourself as personable and greeting people, saying hi to everyone that comes in, over time, this will become very much automatic. But the environment either, and you can work as a personal trainer. A lot of guys have reached out to me about that, just even like working in a gym, because a lot of people are coming in. I don't know so much about like coffee shops. Bunny enjoyed working at the coffee shop as a girl, and it was all girl staff. So there might not be a downside there. She would probably be the best expert on this. But again, waiting tables, you're, in a fun, where everybody's kind of your age atmosphere, you're going to meet more people your age that you can be personable with. And people that wait tables tend to have a little bit more extroversion. So you're going to pick up some of those habits. But again, you got to be in the right environment. You can have the best skills in the world, but if you're working in a warehouse by yourself and then you go straight home and you play video games, then you get up in the morning and you go back to the warehouse, you're not going to see a lot of women. So you do have to somewhat purposefully put yourself in the right environment. And that's how you do that. I hope I answered your question to the best of my ability. Next slide. Donnie 163 says, 4 months ago, my girlfriend and I went to a winery. There was an attractive woman who checked me out, and as we walked by her, my girlfriend whispered in my ear, "You have an admirer." When we got home, she went to her knees and enthusiastically sucked me dry. Women get turned on by this shit. Yes, women want you to be attractive. It turns them on for other women to find you attractive. Do not dissuade other women from flirting with you. Women will never admit this, but jealousy excites them. They need that social approval, and it turns them on. The thought of you banging a younger, more attractive, sexy woman actually turns her on. But with guys, it's the exact opposite. The idea of some guy banging your girlfriend kind of shuts you down, and guys get all kind of like all messed up. But it's the exact opposite, and it's hard to really wrap your head around that, how jealousy actually turns women on up to a certain point. And, and it depends on your relationship. But generally, you have a good relationship. The thought of you being attracted to other women turns them on. Again, girls are kind of like herd animals. They have to have the approval of other people around them to feel good about their own decision. Again, because they don't trust their own decisions. But when she sees other women admiring you, chasing you, putting themselves in your proximity, she knows what they're doing, but it also turns her on because she knows she's got a high value man in her midst. So Never dissuade other women from flirting with you. You can always keep it light, keep it airy, always keep, what would you say? Your plausible deniability. Honey, of course, she's talking to me. Beautiful women talk to me all the time. You know this. So it always benefits you and her to have a little bit of that jealousy script. And I think Mystery, what he called like the jealousy trial or jealousy script running in the background. Because women do want other women to find you attractive. They become very suspicious of their own judgment when no other women want you. They're like, well, if no other bitches want them, why would I want them? And that is how they think. So again, it's completely 180 opposite of how most men's brains are wired, which is they want to get a girl that's like attractive and then hide her, like, so I guess their rivals can't steal her. And the idea of her like flirting with another guy just drives them insane. So I guess, and then there's all kinds of like deeper reasons for this. A lot of it is hardwired, evolutionary. But at the end of the day, what you've got to know is what works in your favor and her favor, because when you're attracted to her, it gives her something to do, so someone to chase. And that's when girls are happiest, when they're chasing a high value man. So do not dissuade other women from flirting with you. Women will never admit this, but jealousy excites them. And you will see it almost immediately, like within hours. She's going to get you, you're going to get into a private place, and she's going to reward you for being attracted to other women. You have to see it to believe it. But if you just test it out, you'll find that this is a fact and accurate across the board. This is one of those things where guys start finding out about like guys married to like 3 or 4 women. They're like, how the hell does he do that? It's actually easier to manage 3 women than it is 1. 3 seems to be the sweet spot in my own experience. And anytime I've ever ran like a poll, 3 seems to be the secret. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 seems to be the sweet spot. After that, you got to have a lot more free time. The only guys that I know that can like run 4 or 5 girls are usually like in Miami, Tampa. They're in an environment where girls really do come and go, or they travel in and out of town. So you can have like 3 girls on a rotation. And if this 4th girl happens to like not live where you live and she only comes in once a month, you can manage 4 girls. But if you're talking about like a weekly roster, usually 3 seems to be the sweet spot where guys can like still have their life. They can still get to the gym. They can still see each girl once a week, which is the sweet spot. So how do you manage a rotation of 3+ girls a week and not lose your mind? Having rules. Rule is you see every girl once per week. Girl number 1 is Miss Monday. Girl number 2 is Miss Wednesday. Girl number 3 is Miss Thursday. This gives her time to miss you and gives you time to run your life and meet up with new girls. Don't protest this if you've never done this. Girls make it ridiculously easy to fall into a schedule. Again, it'll be trickier with girls under 25 because they once a week doesn't give them enough drama. And they are going to want to generally tend to try to lock down a boyfriend or get monogamy sooner than later, even though everybody always goes, girls under 25 are all about the fun. They also are very cognizant of being used just for pussy. So they don't tend to like just jump into the rotation and stay there forever. That's just a general rule of thumb. There will be exceptions. But in general, across the board at 25 up, once a week seems to be this. And if the girl has a job and if she has kids, and she's divorced, it's going to be ideal, at least for a while, because it gives her time for her own stuff. But she also has something to look forward to. She gets to meet up, have drinks with a sexy man, get her pussy destroyed, and then they put her in an Uber and send her home like a princess. So then she can start the week fresh on Wednesday morning. Again, that's how you do it. You have to have rules though, and you have to kind of like get them into a schedule, and they'll know what and why, and it's part of the deal. Again, put them on a schedule. She could be Miss Monday, and you just go, hey, this is the only way I can make this work. And they will fall into line 99% of the time. And there will be things that come up, you know, they like to have to travel or their kids start a different team. And then you just move them to a different day. It's no different than running a schedule of employees. You have to like know that they have their lives too. And you have to make adjustments at time. But in general, they will fall into place and work with you to make everything work. Again, girls that are part of a rotation actually rock the boat a lot less because they know you have options. One of the aggravating factors that you'll deal with when you're dealing with women is they will act out if they know you don't have any options. If they know you're kind of fucking stuck with them, they'll be on their worst behavior. But if they see some girl flirting with you and they see your phone lighting up and they don't know exactly where you're at all the time, they'll be on your best behavior to get the most attention from you. Girls don't act bratty when they know they're competing at all times with other women. You just see a better, and that's why these guys that have like, you see like the sister wives and all that, and the girls all live in one house. Those girls are on their best behavior 99% of the time. You might end up probably dealing with a mutiny every once in a while if you don't manage your shit. But generally, those girls work together and you don't have to police them. They tend to police each other and themselves. Again, dating multiple women makes it easier. Girls tend to be on their best behavior because they know you put one foot out before, and that she doesn't want to sleep with you. You never do hear that from these girls that know that they're part of a rotation. It's sex every time they meet. And if he doesn't have sex with them, they're like upset. They're like concerned. They think they're about to get put out to pasture and some girl's going to take their place. So there's never a downside. Running a rotation has a purpose. And out of those 3, 4, 5 girls, you can always ID one, you know, have a girlfriend candidate, and then narrow it down to one should you decide to do so. So remember how to manage a rotation of 3+ girls a week and not lose your mind. They have to have their own days. You see each girl once per week. If you go more than that, they start thinking they're girlfriends, and then they start asking why you're not available Wednesday night and Thursday night. So it just keeps the drama down and keeps the sex up, and everything tends to manage itself from that point on. Let's get to the next slide. We're going to skip that one for time. This one came up earlier this week that a guy tweeted out. He was like talking to a girl out on a date, and she was talking about how boring most men are. And, you know, I mean, this girl had been like out on the circuit for a while. And the guy offhandedly said, you know, well, are you bored now? And she was like, no, I wouldn't be in front of you if I was bored. So it's a reminder that if a girl is in front of you, she wants to be there. It's kind of like guys go, oh, girls will always meet up for free drinks or for free food. No, they won't. One, you never offer free food. You always meet up for drinks, and you're basically qualifying them to see if they're worth having sex with. So that throws out the dinner part. They might come in for a drink or two, but again, they got to do a lot of work to get there. And most girls are just not going to do that much work. I even had one guy that was like, reached out. He's like, sometimes they're just bored and want somebody to talk to. They're not going to get dressed. They're not going to do their hair and their makeup and drive all the way into the city to meet up with you just because they're bored. There's better things to do. There's easier ways to get attention. They just get on an app and get 10,000 guys giving them attention. Again, if a girl is in front of you, 90% of the time she's already decided she'll sleep with you if you don't fuck it up and talk her out of it. Never let your jealousy distract you from the task at hand. If she's in front of you, you're the one that she wants. Again, you can know that she sees other guys, whatever else is going on, but when she's in front of you, you're the person she wants to be around. So you have to wrap your head around that there's nothing else going on, and it's your chance to shine. And girl, that's why I always say, guys, Girls are best online or through text, or that's their leverage. But when you're in person, you've got all the advantages. You're bigger, you have more presence, you have charm, you have personality, you're quick-witted. Most girls are not any of these things. So this is your advantage. Don't let girls intimidate you, with the idea that she can get up and go meet somebody else. When she's in front of you, she's engaged with you. If a girl agrees to meet up with you, she's 90% or more convinced to sleep with you already. Girls don't meet up with guys they're not interested in. They don't have the time or the interest or the energy, and they're not that proactive. These guys I always get these comments, oh, she might just want free dinner. You're watching too much TV or too many YouTube videos. There's a handful of girls, and I mean like 5 of them in New York City, that will video themselves they'll do a TikTok of them going on 3 different dates. Well, these guys are not you. And you will girls are not of that ilk, are not going to waste their time with guys that are savvy. The guys they're meeting up with are not savvy. They're regular beta men who buy dinner, buy flowers, take her to 3 different places in one night, buy her dog treats, and then put her in a cab and send her home. It's a bad deal for everyone. You start thinking that all women are like this. And a woman that's actually meeting up with you is excited. And Bunny and I have talked about that, like what women will go through just to get out on a first date. Because with women, they want that date with you, that first date with you, to be the last fucking first date they ever go on. Therefore, if she's taking the time and the effort, and she will have, if you really dig down, they're excited. They talk to their girlfriends for a couple of days about going out with this new dude. They buy a dress, they buy shoes, they leave work early, they get ready, and then they drive in. Then they spend money for parking. I mean, they go through a lot of hoops to sit down in front of you. It's not something they take lightly. So when she's in front of you, you're the one that she wants, as long as you don't talk her out of it. Everything's actually working in your favor. You just don't realize it. Let's see if we got one more. Do we have time for one more? Woo, that's a lot. Okay, I think we do, though. I noticed this. I was watching a video. This is where I got this. Okay, a lot of girls don't even know they like a man until they feel the first pains of jealousy. And a reminder, I don't know why I would be watching it. It was basically a YouTube video about a girl. It was probably like 10 to 15 minutes. And she's giving her basic narrative of like meeting a guy, and it became an abusive, like truly like physically abusive relationship. But she didn't date a lot in high school or college, but she got to a job and she said she wasn't really interested in this guy. But a girl that sat at the desk next to her started talking about how interested she was in this guy that would end up being this woman's husband. And she said, I didn't really want him until this other girl started talking about him. And then I thought, maybe I do want to go out with him. Women don't even know. And you see it all the time. They don't even know they like a guy, or they don't even like a guy until they hear another girl likes him. And again, I think it's that social approval. It's that I don't trust my own judgment. And then they see another girl, and girls want a man. That's why banging your girlfriend's friends tends to work off the referral system, whether you're with your girlfriend or not. The girlfriend's friends start showing up on your doorstep. So I thought this guy would always want me, and now he's moving on. There's a guy I work with, and he's always made it obvious that he's interested in me. He's drunk texted me and told me he loves me. None of these things are good, guys. He asked me out on dates, but he's even gone as far as borderline sexual harassment. I've always done my best to just put space between us and establish boundaries. I've never crossed a line where I felt like I need to go to HR, but it got very close. I recently found out he's got a girlfriend now. They've only been together for about a month, but she's pretty. She's very well educated. Apparently she has him completely whipped, and he talks about her like she's the greatest thing to ever happen to him. And I am not interested in this guy at all, but I'm feeling kind of upset about it. Bunny would be able to discern this. She'd be able to explain that to us, how that works. He was always so into me. He's always showered me with compliments, and now he's in a relationship with some other girl, and he's happy. I know it's shitty of me, but I always assumed he would just always be pining after me. Again, you don't want it till it's gone. That's bad. You want to identify things that are high value to you very early on so you can kind of focus in. Again, the first part, don't do any of that stuff. It's crazy. It's beta. It's bad for everyone. Again, this guy wasn't making any headway with her either. But again, it got him on her radar. All you have to do is ask the girl out once, and she's aware that you find her attractive. You don't have to do anything else there, really. But again, this girl was not interested in this man, and now she's interested. And there's a number of things. One, social proof. Other women are interested in him. This girl's pretty. That matters. If he had shown up with like an overweight, older than him, unattractive, it would not have as much weight. Now she's prettier, probably younger. Again, that's why I always say when a girl imagines you with banging a younger, more attractive girl than her, it turns her on. Again, they are competitive. And if you can get her, you must be a higher value than she realized. Girls make bad decisions on your value all the time. And she's very educated, has him completely whipped, and he talks about her like she's the greatest thing. So again, they have a good relationship, and this girl doesn't have any. But again, she's wondering what she missed, and she's got a little bit of jealousy. Jealousy in men makes men like physically ill. The idea of their girl running around with some other guy throws them. I mean, guys can't even think straight. But jealousy in women actually turns them on because men have always been shared. So girls are kind of used to sharing high value men with other women. So when they ID you as high value, they know on a base level they're going to share you at some point. And in a way, this raises his value. Him showing up with a cute little girl that they're both crazy about each other and have a good relationship. And that's why I tell these guys, if you ask your girl out and she declines, great. You move on immediately. If you show up the next day with a different girl on your arm, it's going to make her wonder if she made the wrong decision. And quite often, well, of course, we know she did, but that's not your problem. And girls will come back around. Bunny's good about like conveying this. If you handle rejection well with some class, like it's just part of the day, and then you show up the next day with a new girl, girls start wondering, did I make a mistake? And they will step back in. They'll be like, hey, I thought I was busy Thursday. I'm not busy after all. You want to meet up? So you have to give them a chance to recover. Again, the best thing to do when you get rejected, like in this case, is move on quickly and show up with a new, pretty, cute girl, and you will tend to get everyone's attention. What is Big Tobes says? He says, women are like job recruiters. Easier to find a job when you're already employed. That's absolutely true. That's true. Are you employed now? Yes. Already have a job. Don't contact my employer. So that's a big deal. That's very fun. That's true, though. I mean, and Bunny and I have talked about this, is like a lot of married guys, as soon as they put the ring on, they found more women being attracted to them. That was not my experience, but I've heard it from enough men that I believe it's accurate and true. And you can kind of see it over time, like with guys that have a girlfriend, other women tend to be more relaxed around them. There's something about that pre-approval, a girlfriend or a wife, that pre-approval. It's kind of like when you show up, with to buy a house, you already have your bank statements and you already got a loan approval. They'll talk to you. You're pre-approved. And that's the same thing. That's why girls' friends will tend to make it easy for you to sleep with them, because you come pre-approved. There's no downside to having some social proof. A lot of girls don't even know they like you until they feel those first pains of jealousy. And this is extremely, and what I've noticed is girls I don't know how much, but girls try to avoid admitting this. It's one of those things that's kind of embarrassing, kind of like they fuck a lot of men. It's embarrassing to actually admit. So they tend to like brush it off, or they say, oh, that's her, not me. You know, it's one of those things that they don't like to admit for whatever reason. They definitely don't like to admit that the thought of you banging other women turn them on. It tends to throws off the power balance. So again, remember this, you know, the best thing you can do is show up with other women, and it will tend to attract the women that are around you. A lot of girls don't even know they like a man till they feel the first pains of jealousy. Big Tobes, I hope I'm saying that right. I appreciate you jumping in with some comments. Bouncer 182, I appreciate you jumping in with comments. Did I leave that up? I did. If I got to get better at my managing this dashboard. If you like what you've seen today, like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment below. Let me know what works for you. Super important. And if you like to invest in yourself and in your game and in the women in your life, you can go to myplayboysbunny.gumroad.com or fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com and invest in your products, in your education, in your skills, and you will find a return on your investment multiplied. You know, that $20 or $30 for a book or a course will make your life, your dating life, your banging life way easier, because it's all the knowledge that we've put together over the years, decades, all condensed. So we learned the hard way, so you don't have to. Again, it's little things. 90% of game is what not to do. Don't double text. Don't use emojis. Don't over text. No punctuation. It's little shit like this of what not to do that will actually accelerate your game to where people go, what are you doing? All these girls are showing up. You're out with a different girl every night. So a lot of game is what not to do. And that's in like basic training 1 and 2 is like, there's a lot of like, don't do this, and this, because these are beta things that almost all men do, and it turns women off. So just an example. And that's what I want to convey is there's an investment, there's a return on your investment. And you can find bunny stuff like Fuck Like a Porn Star at myplayboysbunny.gumroad.com or my gear at fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, great Monday.